Yeah, so Washington, D.C. is actually a very progressive city when it comes to stormwater management. And that's due to their reimagining their relationship with their stormwater. And we're seeing this in a number of cities as well, where they used to consider stormwater as a nuisance. When rainfall happened or a storm event, they were concerned about their buildings and the roads flooding. And so they built the sewers and the tunnels to ship it away into their local water bodies or to a treatment plant. And so unfortunately that's caused a lot of issues, including water pollution and erosion. And especially in DC, they do have a lot of water pollution issues. So they've really begun to reconsider how they manage their stormwater. And they're beginning to do so with something called green infrastructure. So techniques that capture and filter and absorb water directly at the source. So we're talking about permeable pavement and cisterns and green roofs. And so it's really a doubling down of a new way of managing stormwater is what they're doing. Now this requires not just public investment, but also a partnership with the private sector as well. And so Washington, D.C. has implemented mandates and regulations that require private developers to manage a portion of the rainfall volume that comes down in a storm, so everybody contributes. And the way they're incentivizing that is actually very novel, and I think something other cities can learn from, is that they have a stormwater retention credit trading program, in which if you exceed compliance for installing green infrastructure, you can sell the difference to a developer that's struggling to do so. And so in this way, it incentivizes you to store water as best as you can. So using market mechanisms, combining public and private efforts, I think are really keys to be able to make green infrastructure successful. So as cities are transitioning to green infrastructure, the tools and the space to plan and design and sort of to make the case for green infrastructure have not quite caught up yet to that transition. And so cities are dealing with, how do we know where to place green infrastructure, or should we involve the private sector, or how do we make the case for funding, in national settings? And so that's where some new tools can come into play here, where Autodesk, there's a new solution called Green Stormwater Infrastructure, and it's all about planning and designing green infrastructure and gaining analytical insights at the same time. So traditionally, when you do stormwater management design of pipes and tunnels, someone does the site planning and the layout, and then they hand it over to the civil engineer to run an analysis. And it's a very serial and iterative process. With green stormwater infrastructure, both those processes are combined together. So as you lay out your site plan, you can see how that green infrastructure integrates on your site. And I think this is really important compared to gray infrastructure, because green infrastructure really resides and integrates within your site plan. You can see it. It's on the roof, it's on the sidewalks. The other new development in terms of technology for green infrastructure is something called AutoCase, or it's an automated business case analytical tool, where for a lot of cities, they see green infrastructure as the strategy they want to go towards as opposed to gray infrastructure, but it's hard to justify investing in it when it's a little more unproven, when it requires private investment as well. And so AutoCase, what it does is it takes your stormwater strategies or your plans or your designs, and it draws from third-party economic research to be able to quantify the social and environmental benefit of that stormwater design. So you can make the case for green infrastructure. This is what Philadelphia did. And you can also, whenever you have town hall meetings or when you're going for grant funding, you can be able to say, this project offers this much social, this much environmental benefit. And I think teasing that out and really understanding those components will make the case for green infrastructure a lot more clear.